Hello everyone and welcome to the VATSIM Memphis YouTube channel. My name is Colin. I'm going to be your host slash editor today as we unveil our first series on the channel that we call Behind the Scenes. Behind the Scenes intends to give an educational, informative, and interesting inside look into the roles and responsibilities of VATSIM air traffic control right here in Memphis. For those who are unaware, VATSIM is a realistic network that connects to flight simulation in order to simulate air traffic control and pilot interactions to the highest degree possible. Most people that use VATSIM will only ever see the pilot side of the microphone, but this series intends to change that by giving you a chance to see what a controller goes through in some of our largest events and traffic here in ZME. Speaking of which, for today's episodes, we are tagging along and breaking down controlling from Ethan Pulver. Ethan holds an S2 rank and is a member of the ZME social media team. Ethan is controlling Local 1 at the Memphis International Airport in the 24 hours of the VATSIM event. The specific leg of the event is Memphis to Dallas-Fort Worth, which means there'll be plenty of departing traffic. But before we can hop down to watch some controlling, we have to answer a question. What is local control? A local controller, also referred to as the tower controller, is defined as a professional who works within the tower organization and is responsible for maintaining proper separation of aircraft on the runway. The local controller is also the person that gives aircraft takeoff clearance and clearance to land. Though they have several other responsibilities, this episode will only focus on pilot to controller interactions. You may expect a controller coordination video sometime in the future. The next question we need to answer is the displays that a local controller uses. The first is the tower cab, which is intended to mimic the tower view of an actual air traffic controller. But in VATSIM, the cab has almost become obsolete for tower controller setups. It often gets replaced by displays in most controller setups because of its limited usage in regards to visibility and general usefulness. The next is the ASDEX display, which is similar to the tower cab, but only shows the aircraft call sign when they're squawking the correct code. The last is the STARS, which is used to see arriving and departing traffic in order to coordinate when you can give takeoff and landing clearances. Now that we've answered these questions, let's get down to the controlling floor and let Ethan show us how it's done.
Memphis Tower, American 2559, 36 left at Mike 1.
American 2559, Memphis Tower, wind 040 at 12, RNAV to Beale, runway 36 left, cleared for takeoff.
RNAV to Beale, runway 36 left, clear for takeoff, American 2559.
Let's stop right there and break this down. We'll start with the establishment of two-way communication, in which the aircraft identifies who they are talking to and their own call sign.
Memphis Tower, American 2559.
Next, we will go to the information that they give Ethan, which is the runway that they're holding short of and the taxiway in which they're doing so.
36 left at Mike 1.
Then, we follow up with the directions that Ethan gives, which, because no traffic is preventing it, is a takeoff clearance. He starts with the establishment of his own two-way communication.
American 2559, Memphis Tower,
He then gives the aircraft the winds.
wind 040 at 12,
Next are the aircraft's instructions for the departure.
RNAV to Beale,
And finally is the runway, followed by the takeoff clearance.
runway 36 left, cleared for takeoff.
And finally, the aircraft reads back the instructions it was given.
RNAV to Beale, runway 36 left, clear for takeoff, American 2559.
American 2559 then complies with the instructions given by Ethan and takes off. I'm going to skip ahead a couple minutes now for time's sake and resume when another instruction is given.
American 2559, contact departure 12415. We'll see you later, 12415.
12415, American 2559.
This transaction was relatively simple and is just a handoff to the departure frequency, so I'm not sure it requires much analyzing.
Brickyard 3935, runway 36 left, line up and wait.
Line up and wait, 36, Brickyard 3935.
This interaction, however, is a little more complex, so I'll go over it. Ethan tells the aircraft to line up and wait, which means the aircraft can enter the runway threshold but may not take off. This is commonly used when more separation is needed between aircraft before a takeoff clearance can be issued, and is a way of saving time for both the controller and pilot. The aircraft, of course, reads back the information and complies. Once again, I'm going to skip ahead for time's sake to when the aircraft receives further instructions.
Brickyard 3935, wind 040 at 12, RNAV to Beale, runway 36 left, cleared for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 36 left, RNAV Beale for Brickyard 3935.
Now that you're getting used to the takeoff flow, let's skip ahead to some busier traffic. Alright, this is a good place to pause. I want you to notice that on the STARS display, Ethan has an aircraft on short final for his runway. And on the Aztecs, he has a plane holding short of the same runway. Now, let's hear the transaction between Ethan and this aircraft.
Memphis Tower, good evening.
He's
Starfleet
going to
1
Atlanta.
Heavy, short of 36 left at Mike 1, ready to go.
Starfleet 1 Heavy, wind 040 at 12, runway 3, RNAV 2, Beal, runway 36 left, cleared for takeoff, no delay, traffic, 4-mile final.
RNAV Bill, runway 36 left, clear for takeoff, no delays, Starfleet 1 Heavy.
This takeoff clearance has one major difference from all the others we've seen today. Notice that Ethan issues a no delay and gives a traffic call because of the aircraft on final for the runway.
Delta 501, Memphis Tower, you up?
No, 36 left.
Delta 501, Heavy, Memphis Tower, wind 040 at 12, runway 36 left, clear to land, caution wake turbulence, A330 departing.
36 left, clear to land, that was 501 Heavy.
Now, let's bring in the dreaded whiteboard, and as you guessed it, break this down. Of course, just like a takeoff clearance, he starts with two-way communication.
Delta 501, Memphis Tower.
Then he gives him the winds.
Wind 040 at 12.
And then finally, the runway plus the landing clearance.
Runway 36 left, clear to land.
However, Ethan does give a traffic call at the very end.
Caution wake turbulence, A330 departing.
Last, but certainly not least, the aircraft reads it back.
36 left, clear to land, that was 501 Heavy.
Overall, Ethan did a great job in the tower position for our event. While this event was definitely not our busiest traffic here in ZME, it was relatively busy on the ground and departure-wise. In the background, I put the time lapse of the full event. It's important to remember that the controller we followed today was only a factor in the equation. Each plane that takes off and lands in this time lapse had to talk to one of our local controllers. I also want to note that local controllers have several other jobs regarding controller coordination, go-around procedure, and more. This video is just a small glimpse and breakdown of the most well-known jobs a tower controller completes. That being said, if you'd like to see the continuation of this series, make sure to give us some feedback here on YouTube. Our team worked really hard to put this video together and to staff this event, so any criticism or tips would be fantastic. I'm going to let you watch the rest of the time lapse, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, be safe everyone.